first questions on the exam, first couple of pages, you probably will recognize the questions. They're similar to those that you've already seen on quiz number 3. And so, instead of posing questions, I'm just going to say you should review the Constitution of the United States, especially Articles 1, 2, 3, and 4. Right? The Virginia Plan. The Great Compromise. The 3/5 Compromise. Final ratification. The Bill of Rights. Then the New Republic. Alexander Hamilton's financial plan, very important. And of course, the debates that break out over that plan. Especially the Bank of the United States that brought Thomas Jefferson out in opposition. And we see the beginning of the rise of political parties. Even though the Constitution has said nothing about political parties, that's what's beginning to happen. So review that. Also, besides domestic events, foreign affairs, the issue of impressment. Review the Jay Treaty. I know it caused the need for the Jay Treaty was the Genet affair. Right? The Jay Treaty. Election of 1796 turned out to be kind of a mess. Adams and Jefferson in the same government together, both opposed to each other. And then the Adams administration, the XYZ affair. The alien and sedition laws. Wipe out political dissent. And the Virginia and Kentucky resolutions, nullification. First statement of states' rights over federal power.
What was the last one?
The Virginia and Kentucky resolutions. Then the all-important election of 1800. And 1 year later, the passage of the 12th Amendment, which allowed for party tickets. Well, yeah, 12th Amendment. Okay, Jefferson is president, so the important things to remember, could be on the test, would be what happened in that Supreme Court case, Marbury versus Madison, and the right of judicial review of the law. The Louisiana Purchase. The core of discovery, Lewis and Clark. And then war in Europe. America caught in the middle leads to crises, like the Chesapeake Affair. The Chesapeake Affair. The Embargo Act. The Embargo Act. Then review the slides that cover the issues and events that lead into the War of 1812, especially that year of 1811. Several things occurred, including Tecumseh, the role of the war hawks in Congress, and then the war itself. Who is Oliver Hazard Perry? Why important? Oliver Hazard Perry. His middle name. Gee, what happened in Washington, D.C. during the War of 1812? Very humiliating, and yet that led to the Battle of Baltimore and the inspiration for a man named Francis Scott Key, right, to write something. And who was the hero of the Battle of New Orleans? Okay, coming into the era of good feelings now. What was the market economy? And that's all written on the board. So review those notes. What was the market economy? And what improvements in technology spurred the market economy? Yeah, what improvements in technology spurred the market economy? Think, linking west to east. Okay, and what famous congressman sponsored the American system of manufacturing at the national level? It was endorsed by President Monroe. One congressman was its proponent.
What famous congressman sponsored American what?
The American system of manufacturing. Okay. Foreign policy. What was the Convention of 1818? And the Rush-Bagot Agreement. 1818. The Convention of 1818 and the Rush-Bagot Agreement.
Wait, what's the last?
Hmm?
What was the last one?
The Rush-Bagot. It's all on your slides.
Oh, right.
What were the provisions of the Missouri Compromise, 1820? What were the provisions of the Missouri Compromise, 1820? The Adams-Onis Treaty did what for the United States? The Adams-Onis Treaty did what for the United States? What happened in the election of 1824? Didn't the winner lose and the loser win? What did the Monroe Doctrine state? What did the Monroe Doctrine state? Okay, what were the three defining issues of Jacksonian democracy? The age of Jackson. three defining issues. What were the three defining issues of the age of Jackson? What was the court's decision in Cherokee Nation versus Georgia and Worcester versus Georgia? What was the Supreme Court's decision in those two cases? Cherokee Nation versus Georgia and Worcester versus Georgia. What was the Trail of Tears? What was the Trail of Tears? What created the Whig Party? Spell it right. W-H-I-G, all right? What created the Whig Party? What was the doctrine of manifest destiny? What was the doctrine of manifest destiny? Who settled in Texas? Who settled in Texas? It'd be after 1821. What was the central issue in the election of 1844? What was the central issue in the election of 1844? And who was elected? What did 5440 or fight mean? What did 5440 or fight mean? Got it? Okay. What issue stood in the way of American annexation of Texas? What issue stood in the way of American annexation of Texas? What did the United States acquire in the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo? What did the United States acquire in the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo? What was the Wilmot Proviso? What was the Wilmot Proviso? What were the provisions of the Compromise of 1850? What were the provisions of the Compromise of 1850? Who was Stephen Douglas? What did the Kansas-Nebraska Act acquire for the North and acquire for the South? What did the Kansas-Nebraska Act give the North and give the South? What was the platform of the new Republican Party? What was the platform of the new Republican Party? On what did the successful defense of slavery depend? What factor? On what did the successful defense of slavery depend? You must believe this or nothing else works. On what did the successful defense of slavery depend? And what did I mean by sweet magnolia? What did the Dred Scott decision do? What did the Dred Scott decision do? Got it? Who was John Brown? What happened at Harper's Ferry? Who was John Brown? What happened at Harper's Ferry? Who was John Brown and what happened at Harper's Ferry? And the Confederate States of America started the war by firing on? What's the Lord?
Confederate what?
Confederate States of America began the war by firing on Defoe.
I'm selecting that if that's an option.
Huh?
I said I'm selecting that if that's an option. Just out of spite.
Okay, if you can remember all that, then you'll do just fine on the final exam. Don't forget the Scantron form.